Hey guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things, like today when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood film on Netflix, Glamour Girls. Glamour Girls is a remake of a 1990s Nollywood classic by the same name. It's a drama about Donna, an entrepreneur who pimps hookers to high-end clients. When her sister Jemma joins the business and mistakenly terminates her lover, Donna has to figure out how to save her sister and her business. Now this is going to be a spoiler-filled review because I assume many of you watching this have already seen the spectacle that is Glamour Girls on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, you'll probably see it this weekend. It came out yesterday. A bit of backstory about Glamour Girls. I first heard that Play Networks would be releasing this film or making this movie, which is a remake of a 1990s classic. I've heard, I think in 2019 or 2020, I think production got stalled because of the pandemic, but they eventually started filming around this time last year, in fact, in 2021. I know because as at August of 2021, they were in Lebanon filming those scenes that they did there. So it's been almost 10 months since they wrapped filming on this project. Was it worth all the time they spent in production, which was around 3 months from what I hear? Was it worth all that time? From what we saw on Netflix this weekend, I think not, but we'll get to that. Let's first of all talk about the performances in this movie, Glamour Girls. Nse Ikpe-Etim. To my surprise, Nse's character, Donna, was the main character in this movie. For some reason, I thought Sharon Ooja's character, Emanuela, would be the main character in the film. Anyway, Donna is this madame who facilitates the services of hookers to her high-paying clients. And as far as the embodying the character went, Nse did a good job, but I did not like the character itself. I felt the character was very monotonous, very one-sided, and given the relationship that the character had with her sister, played by Joselyn Dumas, I felt that character could have afforded to have been more dynamic. But instead, Nse's character Donna just kept on talking in one tone and just kept on saying these very cheesy lines. I kept on saying to myself, is she going to keep talking like a Bond villain throughout this movie? It was just very weird. Not my favorite performance of Nse's, and Nse is one of my top 3 Nollywood actresses, but this performance just really wasn't giving. Plus, it didn't help that that wig that looked like a helmet is what she was styled with from beginning to end. It was a bit annoying. I didn't like the wig. So, I mean, and I saw on Twitter that people were saying, oh, give Nse her flowers, fantastic performance, this, that, and the other. But to be honest, that performance by Nse was not working for me. Side note though, please check out the podcast interview that Nse and Temisan had on his podcast Tea with Tay, which they filmed a few months ago. In fact, I think that was the first episode of Temisan's podcast. You know, I think this was shortly after they filmed this movie together. It was a lovely podcast episode. That's the point I'm trying to make. So check that out. I'll try and link it in the description box below. Sharon Ooja. I've seen Sharon play a rich girl, sophisticated princess type so many times that it was a bit of a struggle for me to really believe her character or her performance in this film, Glamour Girls, as Emanuela, right? But I could also tell that Sharon was really doing her best and giving her all to deliver this character and this role. And she tried, but I don't know, maybe it's because I've seen her in so many other things. Maybe if I hadn't seen Sharon in, Skinny Girl in Transit for so many years, and some of the other films I've seen her in, maybe I would have believed her performance in this film a bit more. But I do give her credit that she really did give 110% in this movie. Speaking of which, there's some people on Twitter that have been saying things about Sharon's skin tone and her complexion and all that. You guys need to chill out. It's not that serious. I think it's down to like makeup and lighting and the cameras. Sharon isn't, altering her skin the way some of you on Twitter have been saying she has. So if you're one of those people, you guys need to chill out. Toke Makinwa. I saw a tweet that really kind of captured what I felt about Toke's performance in Glamour Girls. The person said, Toke was literally playing herself, so execution was easy. LOL. And I agree. I mean, apart from the sleeping around, I think Toke's character Louise really embodied that whole baby girl lifestyle, which Toke's brand is all about in real life. So as far as acting goes, I don't know if there was much acting going on there. I think I saw better acting from Toke in Omogeto the Saga. Joselyn Dumas plays Jemma in this film, and the character felt rather flat, if I'm being honest. I mean, she comes back into the hoeing game, run by her sister because she has financial issues. She has a relative in hospital. That wasn't even really clear. I don't even know who that person was. Was that her husband or the father of her child? that wasn't properly established. Her financial challenges too weren't really established as well. So she comes back into the hoeing game just suddenly, and then first, right off the bat, she meets Lynxx's character Alex, falls for the guy. So what? She's not going to be selling her body anymore because she's met this guy. Does he take care of all her bills and her expenses that made her come back into the game in the first place? There was just so much unfounded whatever concerning Joselyn's character, Jemma, and it was quite forgettable, if I'm being honest, you know, if not for the fact that Joselyn is a very attractive woman. And speaking of forgettable characters, there was Segilola Ogidon's character. I can't even remember what her name was, but it feels like a huge chunk of her storyline was taken out of the movie. Let's talk about some of the men in the film. Hey guys, I'm interrupting this video very quickly to ask a very small favor of you. You won't believe how small this favor is. Please like this video by clicking on the like button just underneath the video. It would mean the world to me. And subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the red subscribe button. When I look at my analytics, it shows that many of you who watch don't click on the like button and you don't subscribe to the channel as well. I'm not getting paid for these videos by YouTube, so the only real encouragement I get is from your engagement by liking my video and, you know, subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment. So please make my day, warm my heart, and like this video and subscribe to my channel as well. And if you really want to knock my socks off, share this video with a friend or family member. Thank you if you've done any of those things. Now let's head back to the video. Now, James Gardiner from Ghana, he was okay as Nse Ikpe-Etim. This is the second time I'm seeing him in anything. The first time was in, I think, the last season of Skinny Girl in Transit, where he played opposite Sharon Ooja's character, Shalewa. He was her abusive boyfriend, where he gave her a dirty slap that year. But yeah, they're together again in this film, Glamour Girls. And the only complaint I had about Nse Ikpe-Etim was the scene where he and where Nse Ikpe-Etim and Emmanuela, they get it on in Emmanuela's bedroom while Segun, Emmanuela's boyfriend slash sponsor, is downstairs. That was very weak writing or storytelling because that was so implausible. I can't even begin to explain how implausible that was. Maybe they should have written that, you know, Segun stepped out, then Nse Ikpe-Etim goes up to see Emmanuela and then they sleep together. But, you know, them getting it on upstairs while Segun was downstairs watching TV, please miss me with that. That was so weak. Uzo Arukwe. Uzo played Aaron, Toke's character's husband, and I really enjoy Uzo when he plays like a traditional Igbo man, like he did in Prophetess and in Progressive Tailors Club. You can check out my review of Progressive Tailors Club by clicking the card in the corner of the screen, by the way. And Progressive Tailors Club is on Amazon Prime if you're willing to experiment with something new. It was one of my favorite Nollywood films of 2021, although that film is not everyone's cup of tea. But if you're willing to experiment, check it out. Finally, Femi Branch. Femi Branch was really good as Segun, Nse Ikpe-Etim's boss, and I think his performance was my favorite in the film, or at least the most believable in my opinion. He didn't get that much screen time, or his character wasn't that prominent, but the few times he appeared on screen, I felt that his performance was very believable. And shout out to all the other prominent actors that were in the film. Taymesan Emmanuel was in the movie with a character that was very similar to his character in The Smart Money Woman, if you ask me. Lilian Afegbayi was in the movie. She twirled twice. Lynxx was in the film, and women are all of a sudden reminded of how handsome Lynxx is. Go figure. And Bimbo Craig was also in the movie as Chief's wife. Shout out to all of them and everyone else that was in the film. What I liked. Seriously? This film? What I didn't like. You see, this is my favorite part whenever I review movies from Play Networks, because you can be sure that there'll be a bouquet of things that don't make sense whatsoever in the movie. For example, number one, the sound was abysmal. There were several points in this movie where it was incredibly hard to hear what the actors were saying, particularly when there was background music playing. It was so frustrating. In fact, while watching, I put up a poll on my Insta stories and I asked other people who had seen the film if they were having trouble hearing the actors as well. 88% said yes, they were having a hard time hearing the actors. It felt like the sound editing or sound design or sound engineering of this movie, whether it was in production or in post-production, was handled by a 6-year-old. It was that bad. Secondly, the music choices were terrible. I remember the scene where Louise, i.e. Toke's character, was sneaking out of the house and she changed in front of the house, right? The song they played at that point was ridiculous. Number three, this movie felt like a compilation of skits or just random clips that they just stitched together. It's like they threw stuff at the wall and they hoped that something would stick. this film lacked coherence in a major way. Number 4, it felt like the goalpost in this film just kept on shifting. 1 minute, this movie is about, or it felt like this movie was about Emanuela, i.e. Sharon's character, and her trying to get out of the ghetto and make a life for herself through hoeing. The next minute, you think that the movie was about Donna and Jenna and their broken relationship as sisters. The next minute, it's about Alexander and this flash drive and, $20 billion or whatever $1 billion belonging to all these old men. The goalpost just kept on shifting. I remember putting down in my notes, because I take notes whenever I watch these movies that I plan to review, and I said, 30 minutes into this movie, I don't know if this movie is a comedy or a drama, and I still don't know what exactly this film is about. Number 5, many characters were flat and needed development. Because so little attention was paid to many of the characters in the film, we weren't really invested in them. We didn't really care that much, or as much as we should have, about them. I mean, it would have been nice to have known what exactly was Jemma's deal that made her come back into this life of selling one's body. And Donna, would have been really nice to know how she got into this thing, how she met, Temisan's character, because apparently Temisan's character had known Donna's character from way back. The backstory was essential, but they didn't even bother giving us that for any of the characters. So we were just going along for the ride without any emotional investment in any of these main characters. It would have also been nice to know the story with a lot of the secondary characters, like Emanuela's siblings that came to come and stay with her at one point. Did they get sorted out? What was going on with Jemma's son? What happened to Alexander, that caused his untimely demise, and what happened to his body? Things were just moved and pushed on so quickly, it didn't give us time or the luxury or the privilege of being emotionally invested in any of these characters. And it made it feel like they didn't care about that too. Number 6, unnecessary scenes. There were lots of unnecessary scenes in this movie, particularly the one where Donna went to Lebanon to have that meeting with those 2 women on the boat. That could have been a phone call or a FaceTime call. She didn't need to go all the way, and that scene didn't need to be so drawn out like it was. They showed her getting out of a sports car, then into a small boat, then into a big boat. It was just so unnecessary. And then she goes and has this dead conversation with those 2 women. Who were those 2 women? Probably, I'm guessing, Play Networks wants us to think that those were 2 main characters from the 90s Glamour Girls movie, because Play Networks likes to bring those, people from back in the day back in in these remakes, right? Even if that was the case, it was still unnecessary, it was still very irrelevant, and we could have done without it. Number 7, the French hacker and the flash drives. A very stupid idea in a very silly movie. I think at that point, the makers of this film felt like, oh, we need to make this film trendy and a bit eccentric and exotic. Let's throw in a hacker and let's bring a technological element into it, and let's make him eccentric and make him speak only French. So silly, so irrelevant, could have done without. And that part of the movie brings me to my final point. I feel like the final act of this movie, i.e. from the last time we see Alexander alive till like the end of the movie, I feel like that final act was an afterthought. Like it wasn't the initial plan, when this film was being made or put together. Because 1 minute, Alexander is a cool dude, he's in love with Jemma, and things are going well. Next thing we know, something happens and, that causes Jemma to take him out. Something happens to Jemma's son. Then, his body is disposed of. We don't know how. And that whole thing is quite illogical, or was quite illogical, because his car would have been outside. Somebody would have known of his whereabouts, that he would have been at Jemma's house. But moving on, I'm not going to even touch the inconsistencies and the implausible elements of this film. That's another ball game, or maybe even another video altogether. But the point is, from when Alexander gets popped all the way to the end, it felt like an afterthought. It felt like things were rushed. It felt like Alexander's demise was just so that they can infuse this flash drive thing and the whole billions of dollars thing into the story, and the French hacker and the flash drives, and everything from that point just got even messier than it already was. The final act of this movie was very senseless, very dumb. Let's not even talk about the standoff with all those human beings in that room and the flash drives and all that stuff. Let me talk about the flash drives real quick, because Donna points out that there are 2 flash drives, and he says, for whatever reason, he has 2 flash drives. And then there's a whole exchange between Emanuela and Nse Ikpe, with them switching the flash drives. Anyway, Donna gives Chief one flash drive. It's not the real one. Then they get the other one from or they find the other one on Nse Ikpe, allegedly. Then suddenly there's a third flash drive that comes out of Donna's wig. So 3 flash drives. I mean, oh boy. And then that made the money, flash drive, transfer of funds, all that stuff made no sense. It was just so childish, it was so pointless, and it just felt like something that they wanted to do so that they could infuse technology and billions of dollars into the final act of the movie. Stupid and senseless. In conclusion, what can I say? Play Networks strikes again. I've complained about these things with their previous remakes, or at least the ones I've reviewed in the past. I think Rattlesnake and Nneka the Pretty Serpent, but still, things like inconsistency, incoherence, and implausibility keep on cropping up in their movies. And at this stage, I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I feel like I'm, complaining to a brick wall these days because they keep on repeating these mistakes and they keep on getting nominated for awards and they win awards. And I don't know. There's something wrong in my opinion. I wonder how they feel, hearing all the feedback about this particular film, because of all the films they've released in the past 3 years, I think this is the one that people have been the most dissatisfied with. And people are very vocal about it on Twitter. And I wonder how they feel about it. But something's got to give. I think maybe they need to chill out with the remakes and focus on original new stories, and the storytelling style really needs to be amped up by Play Networks. I'll also say that if you ask me personally, as somebody who reviews movies and who pays close attention to how movies flow, right? I don't think this was the film that the filmmakers intended on making from the onset. It felt like along the lines, things just lost control and just went off course. Because from what I know about Bunmi Ajakaye, who was the director of this movie, she's a very good, very comprehensive storyteller and filmmaker. Bunmi Ajakaye, she also had a cameo in this movie, Glamour Girls. If you saw her in the movie, let me know where you saw her in the comment section down below. I won't tell you guys where I saw her in the film. But from what I know about Bunmi Ajakaye, I've actually even been on one of her sets before. She's a very good filmmaker and storyteller. She directed the last 3 or so seasons of Skinny Girl in Transit. She also directed The Smart Money Woman and a few other projects here and there, and she's a good storyteller. So for her to have been at the helm or in the director's chair for this film that was very incoherent and inconsistent, something must have gone wrong. I feel like, I'm guessing, if you were to ask me, that there were maybe too many cooks in the kitchen and people with power maybe influenced the outcome of this movie. And I mean, this is something that really happens a lot with movies. That's why you have what they call a director's cut, because the film that the director sets out to make is usually not the same film that comes out at the end of the day. This is what happened with Justice League, more popularly, recently in 2017, when the Justice League movie came out and was very underwhelming and people were clamoring for the Snyder Cut, which actually became a reality last year when the 4-hour version of Justice League, the Snyder Cut, came out. So in the same vein, I feel like if Bunmi Ajakaye were to release her own version of this movie, it would be a much better movie. In my opinion, that's just my theory. I don't know Bunmi Ajakaye personally, but observing her work from in the past few years, I feel like she could have done a much better version of this movie, Glamour Girls, if she had complete control of the entire story and the entire process. Just my theory, just my theory. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought about this movie, Glamour Girls, in the comment section down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you hate it more than I did? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comment section down below. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you watched all the way to this point. I assume that this has been a long video for both of us. Please reward yourself and reward me by clicking on the like button just underneath the video. For some reason, people watch my reviews and watch my videos and they don't, go the extra mile of making my day by liking the video. So please make my day and click on that like button down below. It would really mean the world to me. And please subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the red subscribe button down below. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews. I also talk about relationships. I have some cool relationship videos coming out real soon in July, so look out for those. But check out my existing relationship videos and some of my past Nollywood movie reviews, you can click the card in the corner of the screen. And I don't just have this channel, I also have another channel where I talk about personal finance, saving and investing, because those things are very important. If you're interested in checking that out, you can check the description box down below for the link to that channel. Feel free to subscribe over there as well. Now what I'm about to do is I'm about to, tear things down here and just prepare for my next review, because in cinemas on Friday, Ileowu also came out. It's a horror thriller directed by Dare Olaitan, and many people have been looking forward to that too. So I'm about to film that review. Shout out to all of you who are in my DMs currently looking or asking me about this review and looking forward to the Ileowu review as well. I haven't opened those DMs, but you guys are there. I have so much work to do. I've been trying to finish this and get started on that, but I will respond to you guys. And yeah, let me know what you thought about this movie, Glamour Girls, down in the comments section below. Play Networks, please do better. Help all of us and just make better movies and tell better stories. No one should take offense by the things I said, but I'm just keeping it real and I'm just trying to help all of us the viewers, and you guys, the filmmakers. Yeah. On that note, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, share it with friends and family, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.